Today we're going to find out if Wendouree is worth the hype. I'm Jason.
And I'm Trent, and we're here on an unfiltered, unapologetically unprofessional wine journey. And we have a saying here, Jace.
Saying is drink more, try more, learn more. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. So thoughts of the week, I might share what I've been mulling over.
What have you been mulling over, Jace?
I've been mulling over how the concept of growing good grapes for wine is the same thing as going through a breakup.
I don't get it.
Does that click?
It doesn't click.
No, it doesn't click. Yeah, bear with me because your mind will be blown with this explanation.
Yeah, give me the grape explanation, please.
Have you ever heard people in the industry say, to make good wine, you've got to make the grapes struggle?
Yes.
You ever heard that? Yeah. And actually you introduced
the vine
me.
struggle. The
vine struggle. Yeah, good clarification. You introduced that concept to me when we were having German Riesling, and it was the Moselle wines, and you were saying that the wines were great because they had to shoot through these hillsides that had shale and kind of crack through the blue shale. And I was like, why the hell would that make it better?
I think I shared the analogy as well around Jim, no pain, no gain. Right?
No pain, no gain, exactly. Yeah. And kind of going through a breakup is a bit of pain.
Yeah.
So you got to get some gain.
Correct.
So let me explain.
I said yes, but I didn't know what I meant by that.
You just agreed. Look, I think there's two phases to a breakup. There's the pre-breakup and there's the post-breakup, right? Pre-breakup, you're very comfortable. You're in a loving relationship, feeling very secure. So you kind of grow the relationship belly. You don't need to exercise and work out. You're in a loving relationship. You kind of get a bit lazy. You don't want to go hit the nightclubs and go out. Just stay at home, Netflix and chill is basically the idea, right? Post-breakup, you're on your own.
Yeah.
You got no one to love you.
Party town. Yeah.
Well, you got to kind of find and attract someone to go to party town with. And so you put in a lot more energy into yourself. You start working out, going to the gym. You want that six pack. You want to sound interesting. You do hot yoga. You do, long hikes by the cliffs, that kind of thing. So two very distinct phases. One where you're comfortable, not much energy. Two, where you're doing a lot of energy really to attract another person.
So how does that relate back to grapes, sir?
Grapes, this is where the connection is. You'll be surprised when you hear this. All right. So if you think about vines, what I've found is that vines that are in an area that have a lot of water and nutrients get fat and lazy.
Okay,
right?
yeah.
They love where they are. And subsequently they just focus all of their energy and effort into extending the length of their vines, growing some leaves. There's not much effort gone into actually producing grapes. The grapes that they do produce are a bit fatty and juicy, but not much flavor, not much complexity that's going on in there, right?
Yep.
Think about the post-breakup vines that are in an area that aren't getting that love and attention, that aren't getting the water and the nutrients that they need. They want to change the situation. Just like going to the gym and trying to get a six-pack, they're putting their energy into producing really good grapes.
Yeah.
And the point of producing good grapes is so that they can attract birds. Yeah. Birds are going to grab the grapes, eat the seeds, spread their wings, and plant them somewhere else that's hopefully nice. Yeah. Right? So it's the same thing as the pre- and post-breakup phases.
So what type of grape are you then, Jace?
Oh, I'm in a really happy relationship. I don't know why I went... by the way. So if the producer's watching that, I really don't know why I made that reaction. Very happy relationship. So I'm in the pre-breakup. I'm never going to break up with my wife. So
let's see, a bit flabby.
I'm a bit flabby. I'm enjoying life. I just want to laze about and gain a belly, and that's pretty much what's happened. But I hope you can understand the difference between the two.
I got it.
Why do good wines come from grapes where the vines have struggled? It's because the vines have put all of their energy into trying to produce the best grapes so that they can spread their wings and go elsewhere.
Got it. I think another analogy pops in my head is around just a person's life.
Yep.
A person that's gone through struggle tends to be a bit more interesting, a bit more complex, creates a different type of person than a person that hasn't gone through struggle.
Yes.
Less stories to tell, etc. like that.
Agree. And in my mind as a parent, I feel like I should be putting a bit of struggle into my kids, but the concept doesn't make sense. But yes,
It does.
That's right.
It does, yeah. Struggle with guidance is what I say. My thoughts of the week. So tied in with today's episode where we're trying some of these Wendouree wines is that the term cult wine.
Yeah.
So cult comes from the Latin cultus, means to worship a deity, and a deity is a god.
Yep.
So we're putting these wines at that level, like we're worshipping wine.
Yeah.
I don't know, is it a bit too much? Or is it actually worth it? Are they really that good? 3 factors that come into it. One is it has to be a high quality product.
Yep.
2, low supply, the supply demand factors to it. And 3, a dash of marketing. Yep. So I compare this to other things such as sneakers. Yes. Right?
Yeah. First thing that popped in my head.
Yep. Yeezys, right? You know, again, it's, I don't know, quality, is it there?
Yeah.
Maybe it's there.
Yeah.
It's got low supply, creates increased demand and interest, and therefore drives the price up.
Yes.
Other thing is Hermes handbags.
Oh, yeah. I've heard about those.
Right. You have to get onto the list to then be able to purchase a Hermes handbag. And they're like $10,000, $20,000. It's almost to the point where the more expensive you make it, the more demand it creates.
Wow.
So you see that, same with Ferrari as well, right? So you have to get on the list to get a Ferrari, to buy one Ferrari, to get another Ferrari, create constrictions in supply that increases demand and increases price.
Yes.
But is the product good in the end? Cult wines are often seen as trophy wines. Okay, so something that you might invest in, and then you even see sellers adopt a premium pricing strategy. Again, similar to handbags, the higher you price it, the increased demand, the increase of price. There even was, certain wineries on several occasions where when they actually dropped the price, they actually had less demand for the wine. But when they increased the price, they got more demand for the wine. Yeah. So it's that psychological aspect to it where I want something that not everyone can get.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. So is that a good thing? I don't know. Do you have thoughts on that?
I think it's good because it drives interest in it. I think ultimately everyone's got to know what they like.
Yeah.
As opposed to following other people.
Following the trend.
Correct. Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so the question I have is like, does it force the industry to kind of shift towards, I guess, good characteristics? Lower yields means lower supply, which means high quality wines that we produce in the end.
Yep.
Rather than purely on big supply, low price point, tougher wines. So I think there is some merit to cult wines.
Yes.
Because it does kind of push the industry to one way where it's a bit more sustainable.
Yep.
But then sometimes that price is going to be overly accentuated due to marketing pressures, etc. I just want to talk through some of the cult wines that we've come across.
Yeah.
So Australian cult wines from different drop. They mention Okota barrels from Adelaide Hills. I haven't tried before. Castagna from Beechworth. Lambert wines from Luke Lambert. Bindi that we've heard. You gave me a bottle of, which I have still yet to try. Sorenberg, which we have tried. Fantastic wines. Wine Companion also named 9 of Australia's cult wine releases. This is from 2019. Wendouree, which we're going to try today. Tall Puddle. Yep. Jasper Hill from Heathcote. Home Hill from Tasmania. Okota Barrels as well. So I think we should try that from Adelaide Hills. Duke's Vineyard. Porongurup, which is Western Australia. Ravensworth from Murrum Bateman, the Canberra region. Ashton Hills from Adelaide Hills, which we tried recently, and Silkman Wines from Hunter Valley.
Interestingly, I haven't heard of all of those. To be a cult wine, I thought I'd hear a lot of that.
There are also some others that we've also recently come across as well. Samioti from Fraser McKinley. Gioconda, obviously, is a big one. Syrah, and also, I mentioned already, Tall Puddle. I don't know, what's your favourite cult wine? Do you have a favourite cult wine?
I haven't tried too many cult wines, and off that list there, probably the Sorenberg Chardonnay was the favorite. But I also got to say, we tried Wendouree at the Watervale Masterclass and really loved it at the time.
Yeah. So let us know, what are your cult wines and what should we try? And is it worth the money? That's my thoughts of the week.
Yeah, that's a good thought of the week. And it kind of leads into what we're talking about today.
So what we're talking today, Wendouree. The wine, the myth, the legend. Okay, based in the Clare Valley, it's known for being very traditional, old school, and also producing some very incredibly beautiful wines that are also incredibly difficult to get your hands on.
Yes.
It's referred to as the wine lover's wine. The other thing that's really known is the allocation process to get your hand on these wines. We had the trip to Clare Valley. We did the Warwick Duthie masterclass.
Yes.
And he spoke about that kind of process where you have to write a handwritten letter, send it through, wait anxiously for a reply. You get an allocation saying your allocation is,
Yeah.
you reply that I want this, then wait for the reply to get back and see whether you actually get any wines. And to actually get on that list, you have to hope for someone to actually pass away before you actually get onto that list. So it's a big, long, elongated process. But I did write a request in a couple of months ago. So I am anxiously waiting for someone to drop off the list in a good way to then get my allocation of the wines. But I did forget to do one thing that I recently found out. So on Wine Companion, it mentioned the other thing that you should introduce is also a family recipe.
Yep.
So maybe you should do that. Maybe your family recipe around corned beef could be something that you know they'll love to have.
Yes, absolutely. And in fact, I was thinking about when I put my one in, I can't type it, you got to handwrite it.
Yeah.
Chicken and pork adobo.
Chicken and pork adobo, which is Filipino, right?
That's right, yeah.
So again, I sent my letter a couple of months ago. So hopefully, if you're listening, watching, push me up the list. Recently, we even spoke to Dan Eggleton from Wendouree Wines, who was providing some of the barrels for Wendouree, and even as a supplier to Wendouree, there's no favors. You know, you have to write a letter through saying, "Can we meet on this date?" 3 months in advance. Meet on that date, and then you have to then make sure that you deliver on the date that you mentioned for the barrel. So again, from suppliers to customers, you know, there's that kind of traditional aspect to it, and the strictness around conforming towards this is the way that we run our business, and this is the way that you have to align consistent, and maybe that is reflective of the wines that we're going to taste today. Wendouree has no cellar door, no fax, no website, and they don't need to, because purely there's just so much demand for the wines that they produce.
Yeah.
Just a bit of history on Wendouree. It's one of the 4 founding wineries of the Clare. 1892, started by Alfred Percy Burke. So you would see their AP Burkes, and that's who it refers to. 1917, it got passed over to his son, Rowley, who then ran for the next 65 vintages. Around 1970, it was sold to another family that probably didn't have the funds to run the wine, and then the winery kind of then went into disarray. And then 1974, a chap by the name of Max Lieberman came through, who was a businessman, also a property developer as well, which bought the winery and then asked his son-in-law, Tony Brady, and his daughter, Lita, at that point in time, Lita Brady, to then take over the winery and run Wendouree.
Yep.
They weren't winemakers or anything at that point in time.
Oh, okay.
You know, for Tony, he was studying law, philosophy, and history at that time. He was only 29 when he took over.
Wow.
And Lita thought she should do something related to wine, and she started doing wine science. Okay. So they had to learn how to make these wines. Wow. They did get some help. Rowley stayed on board for 7 years as a consultant, helping resurrect the vineyards, and to resurrect some of the vines that we always talk to. Like, I think when we think about Wendouree, it's about these 100-year-old vines. You know, some of the vines that we talk about is Shiraz from 1892, 1893, Madeira from 1898, and even for the Eastern Bloc Shiraz, it's come from 1919, 1920.
Yeah.
So that's 100 plus years of vines that have seen a lot. Yeah. And also, I guess, ideally, they'll produce also a lot of those characteristics into the wine. Concentrated fruits, maturity in what we drink as well. You even see some of the photos that we'll probably put onto the podcast as well. These kind of gnarly vines that, even if you're like looking at it tells a story of the type of vines and the berries that it produces. For the vineyard itself, it's quite small, 12 hectares. So unirrigated soils, elevation, Clare Valley, fairly high, 450, 530 meters. Again, everything's hand done, hand harvested, basket press, open top fermenters. And this is a thing that I guess stood out for me, that it's made the same way every single year to show the vintage characteristics. So to create a constant, They then show the different characteristics from from year to year. So 2006 will change to 2007, 2008, showing the different changes in viticulture and also climate.
Yep.
The big thing about the wines that's consistent is going to be the elegance of the fruit that we saw when we went to the masterclass. And there's also one quote that I want to say as well. Like says Tony's the arms and legs, Stephen's the palate, and Lita's the brains. So Tony is Tony Brady, owner. The wife is Lita, who's the brains behind the business. And Stephen, you may ask
who's Stephen?
So Stephen George is a consultant winemaker at Wendouree.
Ah.
And Stephen's dad's also started Skilligilly in Clare Valley.
Right.
And he is also the winemaker for Ashton Hills, which is one of the top wines that we mentioned. So you can see there the linkage with it in terms of that kind of, I guess, the cult wine, Wendouree to the cult wine to Ashton Hills. So we thought we'll try 2 wines today. We picked a Shiraz and also Shiraz Malbec. The reason why I wanted to try Shiraz is in the research, it's like Shiraz is the trademark, iconic Wendouree wine they have to try.
Yes.
And even when I was watching a video of Evan Larkin doing a flight of Wendouree, talked about the best memories were with the Shiraz.
Yep.
So that's why I want to try Shiraz. Shall we try? You said young to oldest?
Yeah, that's right. So we also got this bottle here, which is a Shiraz Malbec 2017 that we can try first and compare against it. I got to say, Wendouree has a lot of hype about it, and I don't believe it's a marketing ploy. I think it's just the way they've chosen to run the business to keep it traditional.
Yeah. So I tried the Shiraz Malbec before, and what stood out to me that was, especially compared to the Shiraz, there's a lot more kind of fruit forward. It's kind of black, kind of going on to red fruits. I put red skin and also creaming soda. Elements of that kind of coming through. But it did have a kind of, maybe I think we needed to air a bit more. It had a kind of slight bitterness in the mid palate.
Yep.
That kind of initially hit. But it wasn't big tannins. It was this kind of chewy type of bitey kind of tannins that kind of came through.
Yeah. And those tannins, as we're having it now, it's pretty much what it was like we tasted it back then. And I think the thing to me that stands out more as we've gone through this wine journey is the taste of the Malbec. There's a very distinct flavor, and I'm still trying to work it out. Distinct flavor and scent.
It's very big, isn't it, that Malbec, is it?
Yeah, it's big and sharp.
Sharp. It goes across the middle of your palate. Yeah,
I think people have been saying it kind of brings a bit of a, I don't know, a leathery kind of flavor or scent to it. I can't pick it, but it does stand out.
So are you enjoying this Shiraz Malbec? It's got, it's very, a bit of that tartness, astringent, see on the palate. Yeah, I don't know, it needs a bit more air to kind of mellow it out. But it has that kind of zinginess. Maybe needs a bit more time, but for me, if I was going to give a Corkscrew, I'll probably give it 7 out of 10 at the moment. Yeah,
I agree. It's not one that's really blowing my mind. I remember when we were tasting it at Watervale Hotel, the 2 things that were sticking out was it was elegant but powerful at the same time. I think it's got a fair bit of, it's got balance to it, but there's something, I don't know if it's a Malbec that's kind of really protruding for me. But I don't know if it's worth the price at this stage because we paid about $125 for this. And I don't know if I'd be doing that again. And maybe we need to keep it open for a bit longer.
I think so.
Corkscrews for me, I'd agree, 7 out of 10.
Okay. On to the next one, the Shiraz, the big daddy.
So super excited to try this. This is the Wendouree Shiraz. It's a 2006. And how much did we pick this one up for?
About $240, I think it was, off from Wine Arc. So secondary market again, which always got to pay a bit more for. But 2006 was a good year. I think it was like 9 out of 10 on the Langton's vintage chart.
Yep.
So let's try this. So definitely a lot more tertiary than picking up. It has, you can see that kind of more reddish brown that kind of comes off the tinge. It shows that kind of age.
Yeah. earthy on the nose, a bit of soy sauce.
Definitely soy, blackberry, definitely more tertiary. For me, it had a kind of, cooling mint kind of feel to it, to the mouth. It kind of came through. But similar to how it was made between the Shiraz Malbec to this one, again, there's a kind of like that slight bitterness on the mid palate that kind of comes through.
Sharpness or something that's there. It's got a bit of age on it. Still, like for the nose, it was quite tertiary, but there's quite a fair bit of fruit coming through on the flavor, on the palate.
It feels like, because it doesn't have the Malbec, it's actually more of a lighter bodied red compared to the Shiraz Malbec. Even though I normally think maybe like a full Shiraz would be a lot bigger. But it has tremendous length on it that keeps them going. But for me, it's kind of lacking that integration or the fullness around the mid.
I think I remember us saying that the Wendoures were quite elegant, and that's how this feels. It feels lighter in comparison to a lot of the other South Australian Shiraz that we've tried.
Yeah.
The length and the acidity is really nice. So as I'm talking to you, I'm really enjoying that. And the tannins aren't harsh in any way. They're quite soft, to be honest. Like you can feel it there, but
it's not big tannins. It's there. It's a bit grippy.
Yeah.
Even with its age. But again, it hasn't really knocked it out for 6.
That's right. It's really surprising because it's not blowing my mind. If I was to give it a Corkscrew rating, I enjoyed it more than the Shiraz Malbec 2017. I'd give it an 8, but at $245, I don't know if that's worth the price.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's your thoughts?
I would probably rate it on par with the other one, Shiraz Malbec. 7 out of 10 as well. Again, I don't know whether it needs a bit more time, or maybe when we opened it, we saw a bit of that wine on the cork.
Yes.
I don't know whether that meant anything as well. But again, I'm just judging the wine for the wine itself rather than the name.
Yep.
And for me, it's 7 out of 10.
Wow, that has surprised me.
Yeah.
What's your final thoughts?
I feel that we need to get our own allocation so we can get it straight from the winery. So I can try it without, any kind of poor storage through any other secondary market. Then we have a better judgment of it.
Look, I think when I'm thinking back to the Watervale Hotel in our masterclass, I do remember the discussion was around subtle nuances. And so maybe I need to spend a bit more time with this wine. But from what I'm tasting right now, I don't necessarily think it's worth the dollar value. I think it's a really, really nice wine. But for that $150 to $250 price point, I think you could get others out there that maybe are a bit more exciting. But keen to hear what everyone else thinks. Let us know in the comments below if you think Wendouree is worth the hype.
Or if you want to share a Wendouree with us as well.
Happy to do so. And so that's us here. We'll wind it up there. As we like to say here, drink more, try more, learn more. Thanks, everyone. Bye.